My name is Zeinab Zahid, Zeinab Kashmar Zahid. My maiden name is Kashmar because I recently just got married, so I'm still like telling people both names. I'm 27. I'm an attorney. I grew up in Houston, but my parents are immigrants. They came from Lebanon in the early 80s, probably. But we were all raised here. I was born in California. We moved here when I was like 10 months old, so we've lived in the same house my whole life. I'm definitely a Houston kid. I went to law school at U of H Law. I did my undergrad at U of H. I've literally always been here. Have no reason to leave. I got married in Houston, met my husband in Houston. We just got married in December. So it's been like a whirlwind of stuff recently, but it's been good. My family's originally Lebanese, and my husband's family's originally Syrian, so we're all about all the Arab stuff. My parents basically raised us in like a little bubble, so we didn't actually know we were in America until we went to school, you know? And then it was like this weird culture shock where we were like, wait, not everybody's Arab, it's just us. Like, that's crazy. But it was nice. It's been nice to be a half and half kid. And I've brought that, I think we've all brought that into adulthood and into our lives and into our careers and everything, so it's been great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm going to have you tell me, just because at the beginning you, of course, were like, oh, this is my maiden name, this is my married name. So if you want to say your full name, is that okay? Like,
yeah, that's fine.
Your maiden and your married
name,
that's fine. And just say, my name is... And
yeah.
then you can end it right there.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my name is Zeinab Kashmar Zahid. Perfect.
That's easy.
Yeah.
So you told me a little bit about your upbringing. I mean, you are a true Houston woman, right?
Yes.
So tell me about your upbringing, about your household and, your life growing up here in Houston with such a strong Arab background too.
Okay, it was interesting. I'm the oldest of 4 kids. I have 2 younger brothers and a younger sister. And then it was me and my parents. We have been in the same house since '93, and they're still in the same house. So we're all about staying in the same place forever. Growing up was easy with all my siblings. Typical, like, we fought all the time. We never knew it, but my dad worked like crazy to get us by. We were never a family that had a ton of money, but as kids we didn't notice it because we had everything we needed, and then we weren't super spoiled, so we never wanted much, so it was good. It was a comfortable upbringing. I think my parents did really, really well with all of us.
So what type of young lady, what type of girl were you? Were you adventurous? Were you a girly girl? Did you like to kind of tell me what type of young lady you were?
I thought I was a wonderful child, but I think the truth is that I was like a completely spoiled daddy's girl. I got everything I wanted out of my dad. I think I still am a completely spoiled daddy's girl. And I was a complete tomboy because we grew up with a bunch of neighborhood boys, and our neighborhood didn't have a lot of girls, so I don't think I had girlfriends until I was probably in high school. I was just that girl.
And tell me about school. Did you naturally like school? Did you enjoy certain subjects? Were you the type of young lady who knew what you wanted to do from a very early age?
I had no idea that I wanted to go to law school. It was kind of my dad's dream, and he didn't have the opportunity to go to college, so he kind of bred it into me since I was little because I was such an argumentative child. He would always be like, you're gonna be a lawyer. Like, you like to fight, you're gonna be a lawyer. And of course, because I was in the age where I didn't want anything to do with anything my parents wanted, I'd be like, no, I'm never gonna do that, Dad. That's your dream, But I was a bookworm when I was little. I loved reading. I loved English. So I ended up majoring in English when I went to U of H, and then obviously that turned into going to law school. Yeah.
Living out Dad's dream.
Yeah, doing exactly what my dad always wanted me to do.
I bet he's extremely proud.
He is, and he takes all the credit for himself all the time. He's always like, yeah, no, I did that. That was me. I'm like, okay, Dad.
What was your road to achieving your law degree like? Being in law school, has its challenges within itself.
Yeah.
But what was your time in law school like, and did you have to juggle that much? What were you juggling at the time too?
So, before I went to law school, like I said, I wasn't really sure that I wanted to go. It wasn't my dream when I was growing up. So I tried to substitute teach for a while, and I discovered that it was not for me. Raising other people's kids was not something that I was like a fan of. So I decided to go to law school, and that's right about the time that I met my now husband. So I'm really surprised that he agreed to marry me, because I was a complete mess while I was like applying for law school and trying to get into law school. It was financially a huge struggle for me because my parents don't work, and that was around the time that my dad retired. So I was having to like foot the bill of everything by myself. And that was a little bit hard for me to deal with, but they never let it stop me, because they were so, whatever they couldn't do monetarily, they did with like moral support and made up for it completely. So I studied for the LSAT on a complete whim. I was like, I guess if I do well on this test, I'll go to law school, or I'll apply and see if I can get in. But I studied like crazy for it, and I did well, and I did fine, and I applied to a couple of different law schools, and I got into them. So I got my pick of them, and I decided to go to U of H. Yeah.
So were you, I know you were saying your parents weren't able to at the time, so were you working and going to school? How were you making it all come together?
Yeah, so I was working before I started law school, and then I quit working my first year of law school. You're actually not, I don't know if it's an actual law, but you're not allowed to work during your first year of law school more than like maybe 10 hours a week, I think it was. And it just wasn't worth, going for 10 hours to like a minimum wage job wasn't worth the amount of time I was losing in school to go. So I didn't end up working my first year. I did end up doing a clerkship, but that was also like an unpaid clerkship. So I kind of got through all of law school really on like scholarships and, student loans, just like everybody else. I'm always drowning in student loans. I was still living with my family at the time because I wasn't married yet. So that helped a lot because I didn't have to worry about being homeless. I just had to worry about paying for books and paying for school and stuff like that.
What was your family life like when you were going through college and then law school? I remember when we talked previously, you had mentioned that your parents either there was health concerns, or you were trying to help out with the family, kind of step up and assist when they needed your help.
My dad stopped working for health reasons, and he was actually in the hospital for like 6 or 7 weeks my first year or my second year of law school, I'm not sure, but at some point it was clear that he wasn't going to be able to go back to work. So I was helping with whatever I could, with whatever. I took out my full amount of student loans. I had a big scholarship to U of H. I didn't need to take out all the student loans, but my family needed me to, so I ended up taking them out, and my brother did the same thing, and that's the year he started working. So eventually Muhammad was able to take over. He works as an engineer, and he pays for everything for my family, and then we help out now when we can, but at the time I think we were both just doing it with student loans. Just to make it by for that 1 year. And then everything ended up working out like it always does.
Now, before your father retired, were you having to help out? Your father was in business for himself, correct?
Yes, yeah.
So were you ever having to help out with the family business and step in when need be, or how was that?
I was always in school, so my brothers helped with the family business a lot more than I did, especially because it was a gas station and they used to work at night a lot. So my dad wasn't about like having the girls there all the time. But my brothers did help out sometimes on weekends. And our family is very close-knit. My dad is one of 10 and my mom is one of 14. And our aunts and uncles, show up and randomly, the ones that are in the country used to come and help out as well. So we never we were never alone, even when we were struggling. There was always someone that was part of the struggle with us, you know? So when they knew that we needed something, everybody would step up and help us out. And we do the same for them now that we're okay, and they might be the ones struggling, you know?
Yeah. I know you mentioned that you took out the full loan amount when you were able to, more so to help out to your family. Obviously,
Yeah.
you didn't mind making that sacrifice. I mean, that's money you have to repay. But I mean, talk to me about why at that time that was important for you to do, for you to contribute.
I mean, I don't think this is like strictly an Arab mentality, but I think we're such a close-knit family, and that's such an important thing in the Arab culture. And, you know, I never thought about it. It wasn't something that I was like, should I take out this money and help my family? It was just a given that I was going to do it. My parents actually didn't want me to, because they knew how hard it would be to pay back like all these crazy student loans on top of law school, which is already so expensive. But you know, your parents raise you and spend all their money on you and literally give their lives to you until you leave them alone, until you decide to leave them alone. So it was never a question. It was just something that I did because it was what I should have done. I've never thought about the answer to that question, you know.
I think so many Houstonians, quite frankly, so many Americans can relate to your story, the close-knit immigrant family, you know, instilling so much in their children and having a real sense of family. For people who aren't familiar with that, kind of tell me, you know, about your family and how important just that family dynamic is, and you know, part of your Arab culture, and still holding on to so much of that and being here in a city as diverse as Houston.
Yeah, I think Houston is really diverse now, but when my family first came, like when I was younger, I was the only Muslim kid from like elementary through high school in my neighborhood. I grew up in Spring Branch. I never saw like another covered girl there. I've been wearing my hijab since I was 8 years old, and I used to get like the weirdest questions, and you know, kids like are mean without trying to be mean. So I would get like, do you shower with that thing on? And I'm like, no, I don't shower. You know, like, do you only have one of them? Like, do you not notice I wear a different color every day? You know, things like that. So I think because of that, and a lot of people were just curious, and I still get curiosity questions, even though now there are so many like different cultures in Houston. It's not just Muslim, it's just like everybody that's not just your cut and dry American or what you expect your cut and dry American to look like. So I think that pushed us close together as a family when we were younger, because we were the only Arab family living in our neighborhood, at least that we knew of. It was just like us and my cousins that were also here. So we spent a lot of time together. But when I went to college, it just kind of like blew up, and all of a sudden I was like, where did all these people come from? Like all these people that are kind of like us, you know? So it made it a lot easier to feel like you're actually an American person, you know, because I was like born and raised here, but I always get the question like, oh, so where are you from? And then when I say I'm from here, people are like, no, where are you actually from? I'm like, no, I'm actually from here, you know. I actually was born and raised here. Or people compliment my English all the time. Like, your English is so good. I'm like, thanks, you know, thank you so much. That's great. But I think that is what pushed our family so close together. So my siblings and I were all pretty close in age. They're, you know, my siblings are like some of my closest friends. We hang out all the time. Everyone always thinks I'm crazy. Like, we see my parents still like 2 or 3 times a week, and all they do is nag us about how we don't see them enough. You know, I'm just like, swear to God, we never go home. You know, we come straight to your house all the time. But we were just raised that way, I think, because my parents were raised that way, and they had so many siblings. And when you have that many siblings, you don't need that many friends, because you just don't have time for both, you know? So we've always been super, super close.
So tell me about Dad. And the reason why I'm asking about Dad and not Mom is because he wanted you to be an attorney.
Yeah.
So tell me about Dad and kind of his background. So I know he owned gas stations.
Yeah.
Did he grow up as a boy? Did he come to the States as an adult, I assume? Because I think you gave us the year, but kind of walk me through, who your dad is.
Yeah, so my dad is the oldest boy of 10 kids, and he grew up in Lebanon. I think the first time he came to America, he was probably in his early 20s, but he's been grown since he was little. I think he got his first job when he was like 11 or 12 years old. He always wanted to go to college, and he was, smart enough to go to college, and he did a couple of years, but he just like couldn't afford to go because as the oldest boy, part of his job was to make sure that there was enough money to feed all of the other kids. And his dad was in a different country at the time working, like sending money back to his family. So when the war broke out in Lebanon, one of the wars, I don't know which one it was, broke out in Lebanon, he took the opportunity to come here. And he came here with, absolutely nothing. I think it had like $100 on him or something. And he struggled really hard for a long time, but was finally able to establish himself. And I'm not sure how he clawed his way up, but he got enough money to like buy a gas station. And then he started flipping gas stations for, as a business. Like he would buy it and fix it up and then sell it for a profit. So he has always worked so hard he put all his siblings through college. They still, offer us like plane tickets and stuff all the time. I'm like, you're done paying us back. It's fine. You don't have to worry about it. But yeah, so he's always been like a huge inspiration, and he used to work all the time. Like I remember days when my dad wouldn't come home because he had like a little cot at his gas station that he would sleep on. And, he was able to do all of that because my mom was a trooper and she was staying home raising 4 kids by herself the days that he couldn't show up, and even the days that he could show up because he was so exhausted because he worked most of the day. So I think the fact that I watched them struggle and work so hard made all of us, not just me, but me and my siblings, feel like we absolutely had to do something with our lives and we couldn't just kind of like coast ever. Because that would be shameful, right? Because we were spoiled and we were not expected to work. We worked because we wanted to buy ourselves iPods and, things my parents couldn't afford to buy us, but not because we wanted to buy ourselves food, So I think that they've both been a huge inspiration on us. But, my dad always wanted to be a lawyer. And the fact that he couldn't be, I feel like, made him want one of his kids to be a lawyer, and I guess he just saw whatever the quality was in me that he saw, so he picked me.
Are you the only attorney
in
the family?
I'm the only attorney.
The immediate family,
Yeah,
with your own siblings?
I'm the only attorney out of my siblings. One of my brothers is an engineer. I think he's a mechanical engineer. My sister is in her last year of teaching, and my youngest brother is at U of H studying business management information systems. I don't know what that is. Some mix between technology and business. So yeah, I'm the only attorney in the family.
Wonderful. So talk to me about, hearing about your upbringing and all that you had. It's interesting, I think, for people on the outside to hear that you were a client at Dress for Success. So
Yes.
Tell us how you came to arrive at Dress for Success.
Okay, so I was in my first year of law school, and I was completely broke all the time by my standards because I wasn't comfortable enough to spend money on what I wanted to spend. Law school's like $30,000 a year, and the books themselves are a couple of grand every semester, and it's just an overwhelming amount of money. And your first year of law school, I don't regret going to law school, but your first year of law school is like so emotionally exhausting. I don't think anyone has ever gone through their first year of law school and not been like, I don't know why I decided to do this. This is horrible. And that's kind of where I was at. My grades weren't where I wanted them to be because everyone that goes to law school used to be a straight A student. And now it's just like a mandated curve that won't allow you to be a straight A student. Not everyone can be, So I was at the point where I was like, I really don't know why I did this. And I was starting to interview for summer positions. And one of my counselors, who knew how frustrated I was with my grades, and she knew a little bit of my family situation and that, you know, maybe I had less money than some of the other kids that go to law school. She was like, there's this program. You don't have to do anything. Just show up and they'll give you a suit for free. And that way you can have like a nicer suit to wear to your interviews. Because I kept planning on buying one and putting it off because nice suits are so expensive and cheap suits look cheap, you know? So she was like, just go. They're called Dress for Success. No one's going to ask you to do anything. I promise they'll just like put a suit on you and you'll leave and you never have to see anyone again. And I was like, okay, fine. You know, free suit sounds great. So I went to Dress for Success the first time, and everyone there was so incredibly friendly and so sweet. And they, you know, measured me, put me in my suit, gave me some accessories and a purse and shoes. And, you know, they were like, we would really love it if you would come back. We have so many great programs. And they just, there's just like a vibe you get when you go to Dress for Success. Like, wow, these people genuinely are nice people. Like, it's not someone who's there just cashing in their paycheck or just here because it's their job. Like, they actually want to help everyone that's around them. So I kind of was intrigued, you know, and I decided to go back. And so I went back to a couple of the different classes that they did. And they have such a huge variety, and they're always like growing in variety of what they do. So I think I went to just one of their generic like first year Dress for Success classes, because there's a couple that you only go to if you're in your first year to get you used to the whole program that they have. And I loved it. And I loved the people that were there, and I loved the people that were working there. And everyone's so sweet and kind, and it's fun, you know, like the women that are there, so many of them have crazy stories. Like I felt like the most privileged brat in the room, you know. I was like, oh my God, my parents let me live with them for free. Like, that's crazy, you know, because so many other people have such moving stories and tell their stories with, you know, such grace. Like, you would think that they were just telling you someone else's story, like it had nothing to do with them. So I you know, the people is really what brought me back. And it's nice that they give you free clothes and you win jewelry and you win, you know, I think we went on a date to the orchestra once, because I won tickets or something. So that's always fun, but it's really the people and the environment that brings you back. And so something that I was thinking was just going to be like something to blow off and take a free suit and get the heck out of there became, I still go to their meetings, you know. I think I'm going to yoga on Saturday, you know, like I still take advantage of everything that they have.
Did you think before you went there, remember your counselor was like, you can just go in a suit, no one's going to ask you questions. Not to say, because upon first impression, you don't appear to be a judgmental person at all.
Thanks.
However, we all make our observations. Did you think, like, at every time, like, oh, I'm different. I'm not a charity case. I'm different. Like, did you have kind of a preconceived notion of who would be there and being served and how they were being served before you went?
Yeah, I did a little bit. I think it's more of the way the idea was presented to me, because it was kind of like, here, this place is for low-income women who are trying to get jobs and need suits. And I was like, I don't know if I qualify as low income because I don't actually have an income, you know, and I'm a law student, so I didn't consider myself to be like poor because I was poor. I was just like poor because all students are poor, you know, and that's kind of the way it was presented to me. So I was a little bit apprehensive when I went, but it's not like I thought I was above it, because obviously I couldn't afford a suit and I needed one. But I was pleasantly surprised to see that that's not, that I guess it's just like a misconception that people have about Dress for Success, because that's not what it was at all. You know, some women are, you know, lower income women that do need suits, and some women are just like people who are currently down on their luck but didn't necessarily fit the stereotype that people make it sound like Dress for Success caters to. So I feel like I was really happily surprised with just the complete and utter like volume of different types of women that are part of the program.
There are a lot of accomplished women, and I
Yeah.
think that's the thing. You know, there's a misconception that it's, you know, low income
Exactly.
women, or
Yeah.
you know, women transitioning from, you know, a homeless shelter to back in, you know, the
Yeah.
civilian population.
And that's the vibe that they kind of give you. They're like, well, you know, it is for low income women, but they accept law students, I think is what was said to me. And I was like, I don't know if I qualify as a low, like I have a house, you know, I have food on my plate every night. Like I couldn't picture what a low income woman could mean because of the way they said it. But there are so many women there that own their own businesses. There are women there that, you know, work in law firms. There are women there that are studying to be doctors, and some people are in law school, and a bunch of them are doing their undergraduates and like all kinds of degrees. I mean, it's not at all the image that is painted in your mind when you hear about the program.
Doesn't feel like charity, does it?
No, not at all. I mean, at first I thought it would, but not even a little bit. And they never ever make you feel, the women that work there never make you feel like they're better than you for a second, you know. They just make you feel like you're coming home to a family that you've always known.
You've made friends there?
Yes, yeah, I have. I've made friends on both sides, I think, with the women that are part of the Dress for Success team, and also with the women that are in the Dress for Success program like me. And it's always so much fun, you know, and we all go and we hang out and we enjoy each other, and we, you know, grab lunch and we text each other about stuff, and it's really nice. It's nice to feel like there are genuine people in the world that just don't care about anything except for the fact that you're there and you're at the meeting with them, and they like your shirt and feel the need to tell you, you know, stuff like that. So it's always nice.
It's a good positive environment for women.
It is, and it's rare to feel like you're in a completely judgment-free zone where no one's gonna look at what you say and be like, oh, okay, that's what she just said, you know. I feel like everybody there is always so open and honest about everything because genuinely nobody cares. Like they care only because they're interested in what you have to say, but not because they're planning on judging you or saying anything to anyone about you. And it's kind of nice to be in a group that only knows the other people in that group, you know. Like the only thing we have in common is that we all met at Dress for Success, which is amazing.
So do you still participate in PWG quite a bit, or kind of tell me where you are in the Dress for Success experience?
So I'm kind of at the point where I like pick and choose the classes that I feel like really pertain to me, because they have so many great classes, but a lot of them are like legal basics, which I kind of already had covered, or like computer like literacy classes, which is I think so important for everyone, but which I also had to learn in school. So I tend to not go to those type of classes, but I love like the nutrition classes. I'm obsessed with them. I go to the yoga classes all the time. I go to any kind of like fundraiser that they're doing that they need people at. I love going to stuff like that, and then I can't say no to them when they ask me to do anything, which is why I always end up doing stuff like this, which is great and it's fun. And I love bragging on Dress for Success because I really feel like they made such a huge difference in how I got to go to law school and like the feeling that I had while I was in law school, because they built me up so much, not just with the suit, but also my personality. I don't like to brag on myself, and they would just brag on me all the time. I'd be like, I'm not that great, guys, calm down, you know. So I feel like they did make me feel really great about myself, which helped me a lot in the legal field as well. They forced me to network. They would like name drop me to other lawyers, and they'd be like, yeah, she's our lawyer. Like, no, I haven't even graduated yet. Please stop saying that to people, you know. So they were always really, really great, and they just made me feel like no, I can do this, you know. It doesn't matter if I'm not like your cookie cutter attorney. Like I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be able to do it, you know. They were so happy for me when I got my job at my law office. I work at Matthias Adrogué PLLC. It's in Montrose. It's like a small firm, and it's great because I get to do a little bit of everything because we're not a ton of attorneys. It's the man who the firm is named after, my boss, and his wife, and me. So a lot of the work ends up on my desk because I am the baby lawyer, and that's awesome because I get to do a little bit of everything. And they were more excited than I was when I told them I got the job, and they were talking me up to everybody they knew and trying to get me the job, and and any job, they didn't even care. They weren't even asking me what I wanted. They were like, we met this lawyer, she's great. They would invite me to fundraisers that I could absolutely not donate money to and just sit me at a table full of attorneys and be like, here, network. I'm like, no, I don't want to, you know? And they would always just force me to do it anyway. So I feel like they are so personally invested in my success that it helped me be successful. Yeah.
They have that kind of power and effect.
Oh yeah,
like,
they're deeply in my life. Yeah.
That's great. Do you still have that first suit out of curiosity? And
I do. It doesn't fit me anymore because I've gotten a little bit smaller, but I still have it, and I still wear a suit from Dress for Success every time I go to court. It's hanging in my office, my one left Dress for Success suit that fits me, and I literally wear it all the time because it's like the perfect black suit. And it goes with everything.
Do you wear it because obviously it's a perfect fit, so you look good in it?
Yeah.
But do you also wear it kind of knowing the energy behind it,
yeah,
where it's from?
It's bizarre. I could probably afford to buy a nice suit now, but I just haven't bothered. It's literally the only suit I wear. Every time I have to do something, I'm like, no, this is the perfect suit because I'm just so like emotionally attached to it. It probably does need to be changed soon. It is starting to get a little bit big on me, but I just make it work, because I want to wear it. My husband's always like, we need to go buy you new suits. I'm like, no, I don't need it. I don't need a new suit. I have a perfectly good suit hanging in my office, My suit from Dress for Success. I don't need another one, but I probably do. But it reminds me of all the struggle that I went through and like all the women that helped me along the way. So I love it. And I'm probably going to wear it until it's like on its last threads and then ask them for another one.
Right. And then ask them for another one. It served you well.
It did.
You are where you wanted to be.
Yes.
In your career now.
Yeah. I'm really lucky. A lot of people don't get such a great job right off the bat, and I'm very blessed to be where I am, and everything's going good so far. Yeah.
So what's next for you?
I think about that all the time, and I ask myself that all the time. Ideally, a job where I just get to travel all day and like eat exotic food, but probably I'm gonna be at my firm for a while. I'm really happy there, and like I said, I get to do a little bit of everything, so it's not like I'm specializing in one kind of law. I'm getting to touch everything a little bit, so it's really, really great. And for now, I'm perfectly happy where I am. Yeah.
Not to get too detailed,
no.
But when you say, you get to touch on different law, kind of give me an idea of, what type of, are you in litigation? Is it family practice? Is it business law? What is it that you do?
So because we're such a small firm, we don't actually have like a specialty that we tell people that we do. We mostly do civil litigation. We have a lot of car accident cases, a lot of personal injury, but we also do employment law. We do some criminal law. We do mostly plaintiff work, but also defense work sometimes. I've literally gotten to do a little bit of everything. We do some medical malpractice. We do some contracts for companies. It literally like runs the gamut of things that we do, which is really the only thing we don't do as of right now is family law. So nobody can come to us for divorce, stuff like that. We refer those out, but and immigration, we don't do immigration. But other than that, we don't turn cases away very often, and even if we do, we keep our hand in them and we refer them out to someone that we work with, usually.
Not to put your boss on the spot, but would you like to, make a partner one day? I know these are, the aspirations of young attorneys.
Yeah, honestly, I love working at my firm mostly because I love the environment. Like, I love Matthias and Layla. They're really great, and you really do feel like you're part of your family while you're working with them. You feel like you're a part of their family. Our paralegals are great. We go to firm lunch all the time, and we probably spend too much time hanging out together and talking together. So I do, and we have talked about, my future at the firm. I do hope to, climb the ladder. Realistically, there's not a huge ladder to climb because it's him and his wife, so I don't know which one I would knock off the top, I think that probably I'm going to be where I'm at for a while in the firm, but yeah, I absolutely love working there.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good. we've talked about a lot of people supporting you and influencing you. One's in the room, and I felt like we haven't talked about him that much. Your husband, he mentioned like we could get you a new suit. But talk to me about him and, his support through everything.
So when I met my husband, he's hiding by accident.
Don't worry, we're not going to swing the camera around on you just yet.
When I met him, I was in the process of applying to law schools. And I'm a little bit clueless when it comes to guys, so I didn't know that he had already decided that he was going to marry me. I wasn't aware of the situation quite yet. So I had applied to a couple of law schools in the north, and I remember him telling me, like, well, it's only like a 6-hour plane ride. And I was like, who is this guy? Like, why is he saying this crazy stuff to me? He has been, my number one supporter right along there with my family this whole time. I literally would not, and I'm not just saying this because he can hear me, I would not have made it through law school I would have left. I am not emotionally strong enough to go through what I went through without having a second person there. Just like, he's been my backbone, he's been my cheerleader, my moral support 100%. I grew up in a big family and there wasn't a place to study in our house, and Ismail would literally fall asleep on the floor in the U of H library waiting for me to finish studying during my first year of law school. And I was not very pleasant all the time, I seem pleasant, but I'm actually really, really mean when I'm stressed, and he was completely okay with that. And he used to, let me freak out and let me have my moments and also bring me back from my moments. And he was there for me 100%. He's totally the only reason that I have made it this far. So I'm hoping to be the same for him because he's an aspiring medical student. So now it's his turn and it's my turn to be the cheerleader. But yeah, I know that I wouldn't be where I am without him.
Yeah, and him I thought his comment about the suit was sweet. Like, hey, we can get you a new suit. So when you first went to Dress for Success, we share some organization. I'm going to get a suit. What do you think about it? Like, what was that conversation like?
Yeah, it was kind of exactly like how you would think it would be. It was like, so my counselor told me about this place, and I don't really know like how down with it I am, but it's a free suit, so what do you think? And he was like, do you want me to go with you? It's like, no, boys aren't allowed, like I don't know who you think you are, you can't go there. So he encouraged me. He was like, just try it, and if it's horrible, then just take the suit and leave. Like, you have no obligation to anyone. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll go. And him and my dad are both really overprotective of me, so I think they both offered to like wait in the parking lot just in case someone tried to abduct me or something. We all had no idea what I was getting into. So they were like, we'll wait for you, which is the same offer they make for every time I'm going to a new place. And I was like, no, I think I'll be fine. I'm a big kid. I can do this. And then I came back and I was like, it was actually pretty cool. I think I'm going to go again. And they were both just like, well, why? Like, they didn't get it. They were like, you already got the suit. Just like, stop. You don't have to spend your weekend. You don't have a weekend to spare in school. You're studying all the time. They were like, no, I don't think you need to spend Saturday there. I was like, no, I want to, like it's a nice break from me, from the school and from the studying and from everything. So I think at first they didn't get it, and now they just absolutely love it because they see how much it's done for me and how much I'm like hoping to do for them. So now when I'm like, I'm going to Dress for Success, he's like, okay, cool, maybe we can grab lunch after or something,
That's great. I'm trying to think if we missed anything. Team? Anybody in the back?
She's been great.
Team? Thanks.
We talked about family and upbringing, school, career. I feel like I know you so well now. Oh, how old were you when you went to Dress for Success? Do you know? Can you do the math?
I was probably 23.
Okay.
23, yeah. My first year of law school. I think I was 23 or 24 because I'm 27 now and I've been out of school for almost a year, or for exactly a year.
I know it's a diverse group of women who go to Dress for Success.
Yeah.
I'm talking about all demographics. But did you feel like, whoa, I'm really young? Or what were the differences that you noticed about yourself being a client there?
So at first I was like, wow, I'm super young to be here. But I think that that it just happened to be the first meeting that I went to was like me and a bunch of women that were a little bit older than me, because since then I've noticed that there are a lot of women my age there as well. And I think at the time I was also the only student, so I was a little bit thrown off by just the fact that I thought it would be full of like law students who needed free suits, you know, and it turns out everybody has to wear suits, not just attorneys. So I was a little bit surprised by that, but I was never uncomfortable with them. And then Dress for Success is growing so rapidly. I feel like every time I go, there's like 10 new faces and 10 new types of people and 10 new ages. So now I never feel weird when I'm there, you know, and I'm kind of like a veteran, even though I'm not there. There are women who have been there for so much longer than me, but everyone will be like, oh, hey, Zeinab. I'm like, hey guys, you know, like, and then we all introduce each other around. But the first time I went, I was definitely one of the younger people there for sure. Yeah.
What about your background being Muslim? Were you
Yeah.
one of a few Muslim ladies there also?
I like to say obviously Muslim, so I feel like I was one of the only obviously Muslim people there, but I did catch like another woman or two that were Muslim and just weren't covered because they came up to me and said something like, oh, I really love your hijab, or like, oh, what mosque do you go to? And then I was like, oh, okay, you must go to mosques if you're asking me what mosque I go to, you know. But yeah, I was one, I think I still am, unless there's someone that I'm not aware of. I don't ever see like other covered women at Dress for Success, which is such a shame. And I always tell everyone about it. I'm like, no, you should go. Like, but I do feel like there is maybe a stigma in Arab culture about handouts. And that's why maybe people just don't go because they don't understand it, which is why I feel like it's so important to do anything and everything to like explain to people what it actually is, and that it's not like going and begging someone for a suit, you know, which I feel like is the stigma behind it.
You know, I'm so happy you mentioned that, because we do live in such a diverse city, and we know that people of many different cultures are very prideful, right?
Yeah.
My own family are very prideful. So when you also told your family that you were going to get a free suit, did anybody have any reservations too in that regard? Like, oh, you're going to go get a free suit, like anything? Or no? Was your family more open, more worldly to what was being offered?
I think my mom like totally understood it because she's all about making things easy for yourself, and she knew like she's about the path of least resistance, you know, like how can you get to your goal without having to like kill yourself to get there? If you have to kill yourself, then do it, but if there's an easier way, like why not take that way? So she was like, yeah, that's great, you would save like $200 at least by, you know, letting someone else give you a suit, and then if you need more, we can go like take our my mom's a master shopper, so she's like, we can take our time and find like really good suits and they won't be as expensive. Whereas my dad was kind of like, I'll buy you a suit. I was like, it's fine, you don't have to, you know, they're gonna give me a free one. And that's his reaction to everything. So it wasn't necessarily about the suit or the charity, but just about being the provider, you know. So he was like, no, I can get a suit for you. I was like, no, you really don't have to. And he was like, no, I want to. I was like, okay, you can buy me a second one if I don't like the first one that they give me, you know. Yeah. So but it wasn't, my parents are open-minded enough to where it wasn't like, no, absolutely not, you cannot go and like get a handout from someone. It was just like, if you're comfortable, you can go, but if you're not comfortable, we'll find a way to make it work.
I always like how Nancy says it's not a handout, it's a handout.
Yeah, I love Nancy so much. She's amazing.
That's so beautiful.
Mia, before you got here, we were just chatting a little bit, kind of talking about teaching yourself, like giving back, and you know, maybe someday teaching there as well.
Yeah.
Kind of joking about that a little bit.
I was saying, like, people are always fighting to teach classes at Dress for Success because they love the program so much, and I'm always like, guys, use me, let me do something, like, let me help you in any way that I can. And they do reach out to me every now and then, but I haven't gotten to like teach a class or anything yet. But every time they need, I recently spoke at one of their fundraisers where, I don't know what, I forget her name, the founder of Drunk Elephant was there as well, and she was like doing all of that, so I got to speak at that, and they always use me as their success story, which is nice and makes you look really full of yourself and, you know, feel like you're awesome. So they do a lot for my self-esteem at Dress for Success. Yeah. Well, I really love all of them. I was gonna say Nancy and Lauren and Monica, those three are just like, I feel like they're my personal cheerleading squad, and they're always talking to me about everything. They check in on me all the time, and it's great. You know, most of our emails are just like us talking to each other and not us coordinating with each other, which is really, really nice. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Good.
It's great.
I think we're good. Yeah, that's wonderful. Okay,
Thanks.
so we're going to have to get video of that glorious suit
Yes.
in the office, like you described it hanging up. So, if you